Bali. And we know that Remy is on a tough schedule tonight. So we're like on the second everybody's on. This is amazing. What an amazing week it has been. I'm not even talking about the election. I'm talking about us opening our beautiful little bar in Canggu, Bali. If you're around, please come stop by. It's called Census, and it was amazing. But on from that, Remy, how are you? Good to see you again, my friend.
Very good. So good to hear that we'll have a vaccine in a few months. So good to hear that Mr. Trump is out, and so good to be with you.
Fantastic. You're really kind of summing it up. We're a little bit afraid of what's going to happen to us. We got used to being in this isolated island environment for the last 9 months. There were benefits to it, but I think we're open to like opening our gene pool again a little bit in the coming months. Remy, what's just an upfront question? How do you think that a new U.S. president is going to impact the environmental impact renewable sector for the coming years?
I mean, can you think of the world we would live in if we had elected, that's a lapsus, if US people had elected Al Gore in 2001, which should have been the case? Well, exactly the same. Joe Biden has already said that he's joining the Paris Agreement. I think the world is going to be different. By how much, I don't know, but that's a huge positive.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially for everybody in renewables. It's really such a relief. I have to say, personally, we invested a lot in the United States, and we pulled out 4 years ago. We didn't see a future in the U.S. market. It was highly unpredictable. And but overall, it's going to be very, very tough to make the changes that we need without the U.S. capital, right? So, you know, without having the U.S. as a boom market, it's going to be very, very tough. So hope it's going to change very soon, but you're on a tight schedule. So we're going to talking first company, and it's exciting for me tonight as well. Our deal flow gets broader every single week. So tonight we have 3 presentations, and I've never heard it before. Oliver did the whole setup. Thank you very much. And if it goes terribly wrong, I will blame you later. But we're going to have an amazing time. We're going to Florida first. Claudio, how are you?
Yes, hello from Florida. We're pretty under the weather here. It's been raining a lot, and there's pretty much everything is flooded. But other than that, we're doing okay.
Excellent, excellent. And let's get right to it. Remy, do you want to see slides, or you just want to see his face and the sparkle in his eyes?
A 1 minute introduction, and then we get into the slide that you believe are relevant. And let's try to do it in 5 minutes indeed.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay, Remy. All right. So my background is about 15 years in the lithium-ion industry. I worked for large multinational OEMs my entire career developing battery technology. Spent about 8 years with Toyota in Japan and the US. And then I moved to China, and I was chief engineer for the solid state battery program, which is this next generation to replace lithium ion for the largest SUV OEM in China, which is called Great Wall Motor. And then they spun out this battery department into a standalone company, which is growing very fast, and it is called Asphalt. And I was project director there for the solid state battery program. And late last year, right before the whole zombie apocalypse started, I came back to the US, and early this year, we put together this company called Piercica with my co-founder Hassan, with whom I go way back to grad school years. And he is now actually a global VP at Avery Dennison. He oversees the largest, he's actually in Europe now, in the Netherlands. He oversees the largest P&L group for every 2 billion P&L. So this is sort of my background and the brief background of the founders.
So show us your technology, right? That's what we're here to do. You're still in batteries, from everything I know.
Yes. So this is the company, Piercica. Before you ask, it means peach in Romanian. I'm Romanian. We are a pre-seed, we're a pre-seed technology company, and we deliver a solid-state battery. This is our deliverable product. So we developed technology for this new type of battery. So in the industry as a whole, there's sort of a drive to replace lithium ion with a safe alternative. And here on the left, you see a call from LG Chem, which up until last year was one of the largest company in the world. Now CATL from China is the largest battery company in the world. So the industry moved from nickel metal hydride, which is based on water electrolytes, which could not burn, into lithium ion, which had much higher energy density, but the electrolytes are flammable and burn. So there's huge incentive in the industry as a whole to move back to systems which do not burn, but also maintain higher energy density. So solid state type of electrolytes and batteries are believed by the industry to provide this type of, to provide both of these targets and goals. So this is what the space that we innovate in. So on the roadmaps of these technology, of these battery OEMs, this type of technology is 10 to 15 years into the future. So we try to accelerate it by starting this company outside of the large companies. So these are the 5 pillars by which you judge battery. It is not just cost. There are other pillars as well. This is according to Bob Gallion, who's the CTO of CATL, who's on our advisory board, by the way. We have safety, performance, life, cost, and the environment. And I will start with cost because it's the most asked about. Solid state systems, of course, utilize new materials. So the cost of the materials, at least in the beginning, may be high. However, in terms of processing, it really guts down the assembly processing plant of a traditional commercial lithium-ion battery. It reduces and removes a lot of the components because you do not...
Claudio, do you realize, very interesting, do you realize that you are left with 3 minutes?
Yeah, I'll just wrap this up. Thank you for the reminder. So it cuts down cost. It is much safer because you do not have solvents, which do not burn. There are no gases. So these are the 2 driving factors. Also, it's much more friendly environmentally because you do not deal organic solvents. In terms of performance, it enables much more energetic materials. So this is the big drivers for the technology. And I'm going to jump down to the team, and I'm going to focus on the advisory side. We have very key people here. Bob Gallion, who was the CTO of CATL, who really drove that company from the beginning, who is back in the US now. He's working with us closely. And then you have Jeff Yambrick on the sales advisory group, who worked with the who's who of all the sort of battery companies now with Asphalt. So we are a very young startup, but all of us have deep roots in the industry, a very rich and deep sort of industry experience and playbook that we bring. So our goal is to fast prototype and to push this technology very fast.
Claudio, can you tell us something about your USP of your company? Obviously, it's a very competitive future marketplace, probably a lot of potential there. Can you tell us from a technology perspective what makes you different right now from the other companies that are out there working in the same field?
Yes, we have 2 core technologies. The first one is our proprietary type of high-rate, high-energy lithium metal anode. Lithium metal anodes typically have been high energy but very low rate because of safety reasons. We have a system which provides high rates to solve the rate problem. And we also have the second core technology is a separator, a very thin composite polymer separator with very high conductivity at low temperature, and also stability with high voltage cathodes. These are 2 problems that precluded the wide adoption of solid polymeric separators. Low conductivity, these batteries needed to operate at high temperatures to enable that. Don't need to do this with our system. And also, we're not stable with high voltage cathodes, which our type of separators are. So from a standpoint of technology, this is it. And also typically the startups have, our competitors are academic startups, and we have a completely different playbook. We want to fast prototype. These are some of our competitors on the left here: QuantumScape, Solid Energy, Scion Power, Solid Power.
Let me hand it, Claude, we are really a little bit under time pressure tonight, and I promised Remy that we're going to keep this very brief tonight. Remy, what's your feedback on that? I see a great promising team, promising industry, a little bit tough for me to grasp what the USP is right now. I think that should be more the focus, but take it from here.
Yeah, you did summarize it well. The pain that you want to solve is pretty clear. Describe what are the problems with today's battery. The market is obviously huge. You presented your team quite well. You have strong credentials. It's a rich team in terms of expertise. Indeed, same as Julien, the breakthrough is not clear, but of course it would require more time to get into the detail of your lithium anode and your specific separator. One question here, quick answer. Do you have strong IP, or are you going to take strong patents here?
Yeah, we filed immediately 2 IPs, 2 patents here on the left, one on the anode and one on the separator.
Okay, great. Then what is missing clearly at this stage is when you feel that you are able to produce a prototype, because you talk about it is 10 to 15 years, but we want to bring it forward. By how much?
Yes, so we're raising money now for a seed round, $2.5 million for a 2-year seed round to put together a 2 amp hour prototype, which is a prototype about the size of a cell phone. So it's a large prototype. And we focus on materials and processes which are scalable. So we do not work with esoteric materials which are not scalable. So in 2 years, prototype, that's the plan.
2 years for the prototype. Okay, that is clear. You raised 2.5, which means that you believe that you can get something like $7 to $10 million of pre-money valuation. That is pretty ambitious for a seed stage company, but well, it is. You will see what feedback you get from the market. The last question, and so overall, I think that you introduced the company, the ambition, the storyline, especially as you answer the question from Julien and I quite clearly, and you are credible, you are bettable, if I may say. I always have this question for guys like you who want to go into battery. Tell me why the guy, the most unbelievable entrepreneur that mankind has ever met with, Monsieur Elon Musk, who can send a rocket without knowing nothing about a rocket from a clean sheet of paper and do everything that he has done. Why is it that he has not done what you are trying to do right now?
Well, I do not work with Elon Musk. For what I see from the outside, he focuses on, he has not touched the chemistry of the cells. He has focused on engineering cell design using existing cell technology, which is an excellent way to enter, and also at cell pack. And the upper limit in energy density for this will show up in 3 to 5 years, just like he mentioned, in terms of there will be a limitation, a ceiling. And then in order to pass that ceiling, there requires to be the sort of approach, materials approach again. Because for the past 25, 30 years, everybody used the same type of chemistry and same type of processes. So that was his approach.
For sure, you should be on his radar, because I'm surprised that he would not have 2 to 3 initiatives on new technology around battery that are undercover. So you should be one of them, probably, if again, he believes in you. And then as soon as you get to a prototype, he's probably the best candidate for exit with a massive return, because his future depends very much on that technology. Not only on that, but it is certainly a big driver. So being in the US, you should find a way to get on his radar.
Yes,
But
we have
overall,
investors who want to put us in touch with Elon Musk. Of course, Elon Musk is a big name that gets thrown around all the time, but we have deep experience into this, and I have a lot of confidence in the technology.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for what Elon Musk has done, of course.
Claudio, thank you guys very, very much. I think this is obviously really an incredible market that we're getting into. And there's not that I switched you off, just something happened to our screen right now. But it's coming back. Claudio, thank you so much. We would love to have a look at your deck, share it with Remy. I know he's an incredible mentor when it comes to this thing. Just raising deep tech money for the last decade, the seed round is always the hardest. Not only to raise the money, but also to have anything left of your company when you're done raising the first round. So I always kind of advise first round about what we do in Europe. We work a lot with government funds, we work a lot with angel investors, we work with family and friends. Because the later stage investors will want to invest into your growth, because there will be probably a future generation of batteries in a massive global market. We all understand, but it's a very, very highly competitive space. But to sum it up, as Remy said, you are the right kind of person to go in front of investors because you have the track record and the credibility in your industry, and that is what's lacking so many times, right? So I think you have a lot of the right pieces in play already. And we would love to kind of keep you coming back in the next few months, keep us updated, and help you to have a successful investor raise from whichever investor that might be over the next few months. 3.5 million for a prototype. Tough to raise, but we have done worse, right? I really appreciate your time. We will have to move on. And Oliver, our next company is coming from. Give me a little brief introduction. Remy, you want to say goodbye? I know you're a gentleman.
Yeah, bravo.
Thank you, Remy. Nice to meet you.
Remy, what do you think right now about the battery space? I mean, it's getting heated, almost like a bubble. There's so much going on. If all the vehicles should be electric in 10 years from now, we will need a lot of batteries. What's your take on it right now?
Well, you just said it. I'm always surprised that we don't have nothing real new and breakthrough, but the good old lithium ion. And it may be that it will be Duran who will do that with his technology, but something has to happen in that space. Even though the challenge is getting bigger by the day, because indeed the big guys, the Toyota, the LGs, the Samsung, the Elon Musk, they are bringing down the cost. So the challenge is getting bigger, but this is why breakthrough innovation is made for. Not collateral improvement, not marginal improvement, but breakthrough improvement.
Little bit broader question of this, Remy. What is your take on this? My feeling after the last decade often is that generally we haven't done a lot of technical breakthroughs. If we look at what we have achieved in the last decade, I mean, since we are around, right, we have brought the cost down of solar and we have brought the cost down of batteries. But fundamentally, neither one of these technologies have really changed. I mean, since we started the industry, all they got were cheaper.
Exactly.
So where's the breakthrough? Where's the breakthrough that I'm waiting for?
Yeah, it is the company that we just talked to, I'm sure.
I mean, we're going to keep trying. I mean, every single time. Maybe the future is with Richard Navarro, who's joining us also from the US. And quick introduction, Remy, Richard. Nice to have you both on the program. And Richard, take it from here. Can you hear us okay?
Richard?
Richard? I can see you right here. Can you hear us?
Aloha.
Aloha.
Yes, here you are.
Richard, we have met before, right? You look very familiar. In Los Angeles or in Hawaii? We don't have enough time for this, but you look very familiar, my friend. Tell us about your company.
You want me to tell you about my company? You want me to do my presentation now?
Yes, you are on. Please start your presentation.
Okay, I'm going to start.
And you have 6 minutes to
I have to have my screen share. Can we turn on the screen share?
Yeah, the screen share is on, so it's all yours.
Okay.
There we go.
So I'm Rick Navarro. How can we improve the lives of people around the world for less than a dime? I'm going to start that presentation right now with less than a dime. And the worldwide, consumers average 38% of their income on energy. The Solomon Islands has the highest energy cost in the world at $990 a megawatt. What if we could drop that retail price to $80 a megawatt to provide a better life for millions of people and reduce global warming? Poseidon Hydroelectric uses proven technologies to produce electricity without a dam. A siphon lifts the water from any source to start the flow of water and delivers it to our proprietary hydraulic ram to drive electric generators. A hydraulic ram is a proven gravity-driven water pump. The siphon water is accelerated by gravity and flows through an open valve, forcing that valve to close. So the energy in the water backs up in the pipe and exceeds 140 pounds per square inch. This pressure reversal causes another valve to inject pressurized water into a tank, while the backed up water causes the first valve to reopen. So the cycle repeats itself over and over. As the tank fills with water, the pressure reaches 70 pounds per square inch to drive the electric turbines as if we had a dam 162 feet tall, but there is no dam. Poseidon works on 70% of the Earth's surface with production costs of less than 5 cents a kilowatt, 24/7 operation without batteries, and the ability to adjust output to meet consumer demand. Poseidon protects the environment as it eliminates the hazards of a dam, eliminates the risk of fossil or nuclear pollution, and does no harm to marine life or the environment. We've invested over $375,000 of our own money. Cash flow will start in the third year, and delivery of 2 100 megawatt units in year 6 will result in net revenues of $199 million. Our ask is a convertible note of $350,000 and a 20% discount with a $3.5 million cap, followed by a second note of $5 million with an 18% discount and a $50 million cap. Our exit strategy anticipates a buyout in year 7. We blended centuries of proven technologies with the water that covers the planet to create the next generation of hydro. I'm Dr. Rick Navarro, Renewable Ocean Energy, where it can be done in harmony with nature. Thank you. I'm happy to address any questions you have.
Wow.
Merci, Rick. Listen, I find it fascinating, and I have, of course, a huge question mark, because the market that you address, no need to explain why it is huge. The pain that you address as well, everyone wants the electricity affordable without having a nuclear power plant, a huge wind turbine, or of course, no fossil fuel. Your innovation sounds breakthrough, but it is not. We know very well that it is not breakthrough in the sense, or maybe there is more than what you said and that you are protecting. It would be interesting to know if you have any IP, but I did my first, with my cousin, when I was 12 years old, we did the first hydraulic ram pump, and that was very, very nice to do. And I understand that it is exactly the same principle that has been at work for quite some time. And then the question is, why is it, given that I understand you have been around for a little while, why is it that it has not happened today? Why is it that living in Texas, you are not able to find 10 rich business angels, and there are plenty of rich business angels in Texas who have put each 150K to allow you to build the first one. So to me, there is a question mark. What is it that we don't know that makes it that your innovation has not been brought to industrialization?
Okay, very excellent questions. And the first point is we do have a working prototype. We built our lab prototype, and what our ask is for is to move that out of the lab and into the water and actually test it out and complete our environmental impact studies. Over the last several years, we've done several things. We've received Texas Environmental Quality Board approval. We've also vetted the process of producing electricity on the ocean with the National Oceanographic Administration Agency. So we're pretty certain we have no significant environmental issues. The issue about the question of why we haven't found any funding yet relates primarily to my failure to explain to people that we're not a perpetual motion machine. And that's been a question that's come up a number of times, and it's just a matter of explaining it. For example, at the, I did a presentation a year ago, and the head of the Natural Renewable Energy Lab from Idaho came by and said, well, this is a perpetual motion machine. And it took me about a half an hour to explain to him and work him through the process to explain why it's not. And after that 30 minutes of explanation, he said, oh, I understand. But it took that long before he was able to do it, because mechanical engineers, by their very nature, will automatically say, oh, that won't work.
No, but Richard, I'm not sure it flies as an argument, because I don't know why this gentleman took so long, but you see, Julien and I, we are obviously very smart, but we got it quickly. And if again, you come into any of your presentation in front of a business angel club with, you know, those 2 little bottles with a fountain, and you explain that how it works, and it is not, of course, perpetual movement, and there is a law of energy that everybody has to respect here, even Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and you can show clearly that you have to add water, and that has to be a low fall little dam in a way. So it cannot be the reason. So there must be something else, because to tell you the thing,
well,
if I was to meet myself, an entrepreneur like you, next door to my place here in France, I would encourage a few other business angels to back you, to say, let's bring Richard to the next stage. There is no conspiracy against you. So why is it that it is not happening?
Well, the explanation you heard this morning, you know, with this PowerPoint presentation is the culmination of hundreds of retries and redoing the explanation. So I'm gratified to hear that it became crystal clear to you with this presentation, because that's what I've been working on and trying to make it understandable for everyone.
I think a little bit.
I understood. Now, I don't know how efficient it is. I don't know if the claim to produce electricity for 2-3 cents is real. This is all of that need to be demonstrated as you get into the next stage. But again, based on what you are presenting, I have this big question mark. Why is it that it has not happened earlier? When I hear people saying, oh, you could develop an engine that works with water, but the big lobby of oil is against it. No, it doesn't fly. The big lobby of oil has not prevented solar and wind to happen. Yeah, that's really my question mark. And I don't know how to help you here.
Richard, it is a little bit, and I totally understand what... Richard, give me 1 second. I understand very much what Remy is talking about, and you both have an issue there, because I work for the German government. I still do for the last decade, and every single time somebody comes in with a technology that sounds, you know, like a perpetuum mobile, immediately everybody switches off, right? It's very difficult to understand, but we don't need that anymore. So taking Remy's point, you don't need to be perpetual modeling anymore, because even if you're just using daytime solar power in Texas, which costs nothing to produce, even if you can, use it in a certain process to turn that into electricity into a later time, just shifting the energy generation at a low cost, that's already a big thing. So just the opportunities for all of us, like Remy and us, we're looking for any kind of, predictable energy storage that can balance the solar power, especially in places like Texas. And your solution for that sounds almost too good to be true. So I think we need a lot more info on this. And also my point a little bit, the presentation style of your PowerPoint is slightly outdated. Let me put that quite mildly. It is not the style and the vision that we used to see at this point anymore. So since you're already a slightly older entrepreneur, I would make sure that your presentation is on the graphical level of today. And that's something that can be easily fixed. It's just something that I immediately noticed. And these are all the things that come together that makes you wonder, because your presentation looks like you've been doing this for 20 years. And then Remy asked, why are you not really having the impact right now that the technology should, if what you're claiming is actually working? Remy, a little bit on feedback on that?
No, I totally back. I think, Richard, you should ask one of your son or one of your nephew, etc., with 25 to 30, which I do myself as well, I tell you, to do a sexy, jazzy PowerPoint presentation out of the excellent data that you are having. But I don't think it is a key that prevents you from raising money. And I tell you, I struggle to understand why this is not happening, because yes, when I was listening to you, it reminded me of what I was doing when I was 12 years old. And what we can do with 2 bottles, we can do it at the level of a lake, of any area where you have a small difference of altitude with water, with 2 water lake kind of.
It should work. I mean, it's simple and makes sense. And again, as you said, nobody wants to have the chance we're going to be building new dams in the Western world to store hydroelectric power is zero. It's not going to happen. Somebody's going to be on that lake. Somebody's going to be on that mountaintop. Nobody wants it there. It's just not going to happen. Great solution, but it's just not realistic anymore. I used to run the hydropower project for the Ministry of Economics. Great technology, but nobody wants it in their backyard on a massive scale. And there are challenges there. Richard, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you for your presentation. And if you're not totally opposed to it, let's sit down over the next coming days and see how we can make this more investor agreeable. Because if what you're doing is adding up, we should have your technology all over the globe. Right? It would be a clean, practical, scalable solution that can balance solar power, especially in places like Texas. So more than happy, and I think Remy the same thing, have another look at it and try to help you to get the funds you need to move forward with your technology. Remy?
Great suggestion. This is what you have to do, yeah.
Fantastic. Richard, thank you so much. We're going to be moving on. I really appreciate your time. Moving on back on to Israel, which has become kind of like a standard thing. There seems to be no more program going on. And Remy, we do this twice a week now, right? I'm not sure if you're aware of it. We're doing the Tuesday Pitch Mastermind, about 1 hour. And then we have a much more relaxed setting on Wednesdays. It's like a late night program, 2.5 hours. I get a bottle of wine. And we just talk entrepreneurship. And almost like any company that has something to contribute can come on board. We can talk about, discuss it. And then if it works well, we push them on to the Tuesday presentation. And it has been incredibly exciting. People coming on the program, what's happening. I mean, I love what we're doing here. I'm having an amazing time. So there's always hope that the next company will solve our big problems. Because many of them will do in the future. So let's go back to Israel, right? Ido, you're joining us at Jerusalem or Tel Aviv? Where are you?
Hi, how are you?
Bonjour, Ido. You know that it started very well because the best friend of my son when I was in Singapore was Ido as well. And they are still in touch. It's back to Israel.
Ido, you're working with Terra Ventures. Is how you found us?
Yeah, one of our investors, and we went through their governmental incubator that's run by Terra.
Fantastic. A little bit self-promotion. We have the time for that. November 25th, that's still the date. We're going to have a separate exventure night. 5 tech companies from Israel we're going to be presenting. in cooperation with Terra Ventures. And it has been super exciting, the tech that's coming out of Israel. Obviously, one of the biggest innovation hubs in the world. Super exciting what you guys are up to. And I would love to come back. If you want to invite me, always love to go back to Israel. It's a fun place to be. But Ido, let me not waste your time. Take your presentation from here.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen and start.
Please do.
Okay, you can introduce yourself in 1 minute before you start sharing slide. That's great.
Okay, just a second. Yeah, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of Aruga, and my background is physics, actually. And I did my PhD in the US. I came back to Israel, that's 17 years ago, and I've worked for many years in the medical device industry, specifically in a company that developed a product for reducing lumpectomy surgeries, repeat lumpectomy surgeries. And yeah, 4 years ago, I started working on greenhouse farming and automation, and 3 years ago we started Aruga. So
go take it from here.
You started alone, or you have some co-founders?
I have I started about alone, but the company I founded with a longtime acquaintance from the business side. He's a VP BizDev.
Okay.
Yeah. Farming, obviously, one of the places Israel is really leading in innovation. So super excited to see what you're coming up with.
Great. So I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Just one question: in the actual event, will I be sharing from my computer?
Yes. No, we're going to pre-tape the whole thing, but nobody knows that. I didn't say that.
Okay. Great.
I know it's live, but come on.
Okay, so I'll also time it. I'll start.
Yes, perfect. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ido, co-founder and CEO of Aruga. Very excited to be here, to have a chance to talk about our company. At Aruga, we're planning to introduce autonomous ground robots to treat every plant in the greenhouse. And we are first focused on the tomato sector, the largest sector in greenhouse farming. And on the screen, you can see the most important expenses and problems that growers face. By far the largest is on labor. But beyond this, there's also the indirect losses due to unavailability of labor and turnover. And specifically in greenhouse farming and other crops, there's the issue of pollination. Typically performed using commercially produced single-use bumblebee hives. But these hives are sensitive to environmental conditions and pesticides. They forage for pollen when they want to, not when it's optimal for the plants. They spread viruses. It's been known in the literature for a long time. And these hives are banned or otherwise unavailable in various countries, for example, Australia, where pollination is still performed manually. So as a first step into the market, we decided to develop a pollination robot. In the video here, you see our prototype in a commercial pilot in Israel. And just a brief explanation, tomato flowers are self-pollinating. They need a gentle but accurate vibration in order to release the pollen on the stigma for fruit setting. So the robot drives along the road, detects flowers that are ready for pollination using our cameras and artificial intelligence, and sends accurate and gentle air pulses to vibrate the flower. Okay, so imitating buzz pollination is done by bees and other mechanical methods, but in a non-contact method, so it prevents spread of viruses and diseases. Again, it's air pulses, not chemicals or pollen or anything else. And so we've done many testing throughout in the past 2 or 3 years. Just recently, we completed a commercial pilot in Israel, done in relatively extreme heat conditions, where the bees had problems in pollinating, but the robot kept a stable yield, saving up to 50% of the weekly yield, the losses in weekly yields. And very recently, we completed a pilot in Australia, where we sent 2 robots without going there and remotely operating this pilot, where we showed equivalence in yield and shelf life to their manual pollination. And we're soon launching our first commercial product in Israel and Australia. We already started working on monitoring of various parameters and stress in the plants using the analysis of data collected by our cameras. And the first module beyond pollination is planned to be, again, non-contact flower pruning, which is also a very labor-intensive job, a daily job in the greenhouse. And that's it from our wonderful team in Israel. Thank you very much.
Bravo, you do it very timely. Listen, it is fascinating and very clear. The market is obvious. The pain that you are trying to solve is obvious as well. You described it quite well. The problem of pollination, labor cost, efficiency. Your breakthrough innovation is as well pretty obvious, although I don't know if you have a strong patent protection on your cyber system, robots, or AI. Do you have that?
Yes. Especially protecting pollination and pruning. Yes, but yeah. You think I should add that, like a sentence there?
Absolutely, because I mean the first fear, well, one of the obvious fear for any investor is, okay, the guy is paving the way for other guys to copycat it, and it will be done in South China for a fraction of the cost of what Ido is proposing. So absolutely, you must have that. The other thing that is missing in your presentation is a punchy slide on the kind of ROI that you can bring, taking a typical case with some assumptions, surface of the greenhouse, kind of the tomato, etc. What it costs to get that many hundred of kilograms of tomato in a human bee hive operated greenhouse versus a greenhouse that would be operated by your robot, and that has to be pretty impressive. If you improve only by 20 to 30%, it's a bit challenging. You have to improve by a factor of about 80% or 2 times more, because overall no viruses, operation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And well, I'm sure that you can lay out something that will be very attractive. But those 2 slides, IP as well as ROI, what you are bringing to the market is not just incremental, it is breakthrough. Yeah. And thus the ROI. And if you have that, I don't know how much competition does exist in that field. It is something as well that we should cover, because I believe you're probably not the only one. Do you know of competition?
Yeah, this sector is still in its infancy. So there are a few startups doing robots for agriculture and specifically greenhouses. They didn't take our approach. They went for monitoring, and where the ROI is a little questionable. In our case, we just replace an existing expense.
Exactly.
So we don't increase there's no ROI actually. The farmer saves from day one. So.
Ido, one question I still have when we go through this, and I think I love robots and I love AI, and I think it's really awesome what you're doing there. It's exactly why we have this program, because this is the really cool stuff that I love to listen to. What's your business model? You're selling the software, the service, the robot. How do you make your money?
So we're planning to first lease the robots, right? Where the customer he spends the same amount of money every month on either bees or robots. But we've heard a lot from other companies, from growers, major growers around the world, that they would eventually want to buy the robots. Okay.
We can do robots as a service is the best business model. Huh? So maybe initially you want to start by selling a few robots because you want to have the cash quickly in your pocket. But clearly going forward, robot as a service where you provide maintenance, improvement, upgrade, etc., is by far the best business model. Huh?
Also,
This is
Ido,
how you
one question. If you already have the cameras and the technology in place, I mean, how likable is it that you going to add onto your service in the future? Like, you're going to detect that if actually the fruits are ripe, for example, right? Or if you have any disease or something like that. I mean, you already have a very high level visual software recognition, software running on this thing. I think the software, the service would be amazing because you can add these things as you kind of develop as a product. How likely is that the robot is going to be doing multiple things in the future?
Yeah, so as I think I mentioned in the last slide, we are going to, of course, increase the gradually add to this robot more and more services. So one future module, the next module beyond pollination is pruning, which specifically replaces humans. And it's also not even a question of how much do we save the growers. They don't have people to work. So they sometimes don't even do the tasks that they're supposed to. But specifically what we are working is with a list of things to monitor and detect with our cameras, with the growers that we're working with, and start, ticking one by one. Add, we count the flowers and plants. Next we'll show detect some leaf disease, stuff like that, using the priorities agreed to with the customers.
So I think Remy
So
definitely robot as a service, right?
Plan.
Or do you see this different? Robot as a service and then add layers of services on top of it as the technology improves. I love that you said you went for the lowest hanging fruit technology-wise, because I at least haven't seen nothing like it. You've gone for like the super niche. But once your robot is in place and it's already there and people are paying for the service, then to add on multiple service on top of that seems pretty easy as a sale-up.
Yeah, that's the plan. We wanted the easiest way to the market. We didn't want to wait too many years until we develop something more elaborate. But we want to get real estate and greenhouses.
Ido, one more question, because I know Remy needs to run. What is your ask? Like, how can we help? How can Remy help? He's a very likable guy. He has lots of friends. How can they help to get you guys to market quicker?
You mean how to
invest in your company, license models, building server farms? What do you need to bring you out there faster?
So I think right now we have a product almost in place where our collaborators in Australia, they are waiting for that robot. Now it's actually showing in various countries to the main growers there, opinion leaders in their greenhouse that the robot works and gives them the benefit. It's a relatively slower sale than software, enterprise software. You have to go there for at least a quarter with 2 or 3 robots, show them in a proper experiment that we give them this added yield or protection from viruses or something that they are interested in, and then turn it into a sale. That's what we did at Costa in Australia.
It's a slow-moving industry.
Yeah. How much money are you raising?
So we're now doing a kind of a pre-A round where we also have term sheets in place. So
tell us how much, Ido. Israelis are usually not so shy talking about money. And that's not a stereotype. I used to live there. Tell us what you need.
I was going to tell you, go visit my friend of Vertex in Savion, which is 30 minutes from where you are. But you don't need that. You already have the money.
Yes, so we're close to closing a pre-A round, $4 million, which will get us both to complete the penetration, to start penetration to the market, Australia and US, and start developing seriously the next module, because we want to show that pipeline. So this $4 million is going to go a long way.
Remy, what is your take on that? For me, it feels too small. I mean, it feels like something that if you capture the market now, and it's a slow-moving market, I would want to see this in the big growing operations, that wonderful company in the US. I would be more aggressive on the race and the rollout, but maybe that's me. How do you feel about it? It feels too small for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ido that this market is rather slow on adoption. And at the same time, he cannot raise probably more than $4 million. If not, the dilution is going to be too punitive. So being very targeted on a few geographies, a few kind of customers that will play the viral role, because as soon as you have 1, 2, 3 customers who can demonstrate the strengths of the value proposition of Ido, it can spread extremely quickly. I have a portfolio company with a flying drone that is a little bit in the same situation. I am frustrated because I think it should grow faster, as you are expressing it, Julien. But I'm afraid that this is the way it has to go, especially in an industry which is still a bit conservative, producing food. So I think you are doing it right. Bring the additional slide that we have been mentioning, Julien and I, but you already have secured your Series A term sheet. So go on executing as fast as you can.
Yeah. I said we have a lot of friends that are trying to grow a lot of things in the desert, right? We're talking Project Neom in Saudi Arabia, run by a close German friend of mine. There's big money going into growing fruits and vegetables in the desert, not just in Israel at this point. We got Saudi Arabia, we got Dubai, we got so many markets right now. I would want to see this out in the market as quickly as possible. I said just get your robot down and then upsell as the technology evolves. But that's my feeling about it. So, but we're going to have you back on the program on the 25th, I think so, Ido.
Great.
And I said we also have a big fertilizer company from Norway, no names mentioned, I would like to introduce this to. So let's stay in very close contact. Maybe can accelerate the process, as you say, in a very, very slow-moving industry. But I think it's really awesome. Remy, how do you feel about it?
Same. I would love that you are somewhere in Europe so that I can invest in you in 18 months.
Well, maybe bring you to Germany.
Actually,
and then we can leverage
actually,
all your government funds, I would say 1 to 4, 1 to 5, very, very easily. We don't have so much of the bee problems because we don't have the heat. But again, maybe the German combination there with ETF could work very, very nicely. As you guys will need to grow out of Israel as quickly as possible. That is one of the conversations we always have with Harold Wiener. And again, thank you guys to Terra Ventures for your cooperation on this. We have to stop it for tonight. Thank you so much, Ido. We're going to stay in very close contact. Remy, I know you need to run. One final word. How do you feel, my friend? Exciting, right?
I came in energized and I'm getting out thrilled.
Super efficient. Thank you, my friend. We'll see you very, very soon. Thank you for your time. And this is it from me. This is our shortest program so far. But this is the format that I like. Keep it brief, because if we don't understand realistically what your company is doing in 3 to 5 minutes, we're probably just going to be more confused later than sooner. We're going to be on November 25th, exventure night, live from Israel, December 3 from the United States, and every Tuesday with our pitch mastermind. We have Shell Ventures and Set Ventures joining us next, so it's going to be fucking amazing. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night out. I didn't say that. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.